my God. Poppy discovers that Dylan is actually Luna. The pressure in the Forrester estate was nearly unsupportable as Poppy paced the sunlit living room, her fritters anxiously twisting the edge of her scarf, the verity she had stumbled upon burning in her mind like campfire. Just hours agone, in a quiet, nearly inoffensive moment in the megacity's bustling cafe, she had eavesdropped a discussion that shattered the precisely constructed world she allowed. She knew. Dylan, her close friend, her confidant, the man whose gentle charm and unwavering fidelity had earned her trust over innumerous months, was not who he claimed to be. The verity had come crashing down like a tidal surge. Dylan was, in fact, Luna. A disclosure so shocking it made her knees buckle as she sank into the plush armchair by the window. Memories of every smile, every tender discussion, every participated secret, suddenly morphed into fractions of a retired identity she could no way have imagined. She replayed the events over and over in her mind, each flash of recognition ringing into a painful knot of treason and admiration. Luna's life had been a maze of deception, one that now hovered to gulf everyone around her. Poppy's heart contended as she contemplated the ramifications. How would the Forresters reply? How would Steffi take the news that the man she had commended in, the one she had fought to cover, wasn't just Dylan but someone entirely different, someone who had walked among them under a precisely drafted disguise? Meanwhile, Luna, ignorant that her secret had been unveiled, moved through the world with the same ease that had allowed her to weave seamlessly into the social fabric of Los Angeles, her every gesture a mask that concealed a storm of feelings beneath. The veritably aloud made Poppy's casket strain, and she realized that the coming battle would be explosive. She pictured the ineluctable moment when she defied Dylan, Luna with the substantiation she now held, the battle that would enkindle a chain response across the Forrester family and beyond, shaking commitment, sparking allegations, and revealing long-buried secrets. Every twinkle in that room sounded louder than the last as Poppy prepared herself. Knowing that formerly this secret was out, nothing could ever be the same. She could nearly hear the whispers in the hallways of Forrester Creations, the gasps of unbelief from Ridge and Brooke, the shocked silence that would follow from Hope and Steffi, and of course the calculated curiosity of Bill, who would really see this disclosure as a tool to manipulate and control the unfolding drama. The Los Angeles sun cast golden shafts across the room, but no light could pierce the shadow of query that now filled Poppy's mind. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the ineluctable storm. The moment she had stressed yet ever anticipated was at hand. Luna's secret would no longer be hers alone to carry, and the world of the bold and the beautiful was about to be shaken to its core. Each second brought the weight of impending chaos, and Poppy, torn between compassion and treason, realized that the choices she made in the coming hours would ripple through lives, love, and commitment in ways no bone could prognosticate. The disclosure was no longer a possibility. It was a reality, pictorial and inarguable, demanding action, demanding battle, and promising consequences that would echo across every relationship, every business deal, and every twinkle within the walls of Forrester Creations and beyond. And as she stood there, torn between revealing the verity and guarding the one she watched for, the megacity of Los Angeles sounded to hold its breath, staying for the moment when the secret of Dylan, no Luna, would eventually be unleashed upon a world unrehearsed for the intensity of the bold and the beautiful's rearmost twist. Poppy could slightly concentrate as she left the cafe, the slip of paper she had set up put away inside Dylan's tablet, burning a hole in her bag. Every step along the bustling thoroughfares of Los Angeles felt surreal. The chatter of climbers and the honking of buses sounded distant, nearly like it belonged to another world entirely. Her mind was spinning with questions that had no answers. Why had Dylan kept this secret? Who differently knew? And most importantly, what did this mean for everyone she loved? She had to be careful. Luna's disclosure wasn't just a particular shock. It could tear piecemeal families, destroy Gemütlichkeit, and indeed peril the business alliances at Forrester Creations. As she approached the Forrester estate, Poppy rehearsed how she'd defy Dylan. Her voice was steady in her head, but her hands quivered as she chimed the doorbell. Moments laterally, Dylan, or rather Luna, opened the door, his smile warm and familiar, ignorant of the storm about to descend. "Hey Poppy. I didn't anticipate you." Moment, Dylan said, his tone casual, as though nothing extraordinary had happened. Poppy forced a smile, her casket tightening. "We need to talk. Now." The urgency in her voice made Dylan's brow crinkle. He stepped away, waving for her to enter, but the air between them felt charged, heavy with implied trueness. Once outside, Poppy wasted no time, placing the slip of paper on the polished oak table. "Look at this," she said, her voice pulsing but establishment. Dylan's eyes scrutinized the paper, and for a detail-telling moment, his expression faltered. How did you?" he started, but Poppy cut him off. "I heard the discussion, Dylan. Or should I say Luna?" Silence fell over the room like a thick fog. Dylan's hands gripped at his sides, and for the first time Poppy saw vulnerability, a crack in the precisely maintained facade. "You don't understand," Dylan Luna rumored. "I didn't want anyone to get hurt. I had to cover everyone, including you." "Cover us?" Poppy's voice rose, incredulous. "By lying to everyone? By living a double life?" The words soaked, but there was an edge of compassion in Poppy's aspect. She had always watched for Dylan, and part of her still did, despite the treason. Luna sank into the armchair across from her, the weight of times of secretiveness pressing down. "It wasn't just about me. There are forces, people who would have done anything to exploit my true identity. I had no choice." Poppy's mind raced. However, it meant others in their circle were in the dark too. If Luna's secret had been this nearly guarded. She allowed. Of Steffi, Hope, Brooke, Ridge, indeed Bill. The counter-accusations were stunning. And also it hit her. The battle would ripple far beyond the walls of this room. Meanwhile, in the Forrester boardroom, Ridge and Brooke were unconscious to the seismic shift about to do. Ridge, ever defensive, was reviewing designs for the rearmost Forrester collection, ignorant that the vestments of his family were about to unravel. Brooke belted her coffee, drooling actively about social engagements, fully eyeless to the disclosure that would soon dominate every discussion in their home. Back at the living room, Poppy eventually took a deep breath. "You need to come clean, Luna. This secret can't stay buried any longer." Luna shook his head, a shadow of fear in his eyes. "You don't know what you're asking. Once the verity is out, lives will change ever. Families will fight. Gemütlichkeit will break. Are you ready to bear that responsibility?" Poppy's determination hardened. "I can't stand by and keep this from them. They earn the verity. And you earn to live without cashing." The moment was heavy, charged with emotion, a storm hanging to erupt. And in the thoroughfares outside the Forrester estate, a figure broke, watching through the wrought iron gates someone who had their own stake in this disclosure. Sheila, ever cunning and opportunistic, had caught wind of whispers about Luna's secret. A sly smile crossed her face, knowing that this verity could be abused to her advantage, to sow chaos among the Forrester clan. Inside, Poppy and Luna sat in tense silence, the weight of brewing exposures pressing down. Poppy's studies swirled. How would Steffi reply? How would Hope? What about Ridge and Brooke? And incredibly, could Bill ever twist this into an advantage for himself, manipulating the pain and confusion for his own gain? Hours passed. The golden light of Los Angeles shifted into the cool tinges of evening, casting long murk across the estate's manicured auditoriums. Poppy eventually stood, placing a hand on Luna's shoulder. "We need a plan. We need to tell them precisely, or the fallout will be disastrous." Luna jounced, a admixture of fear and relief in his eyes. "You're right. We've to do it together." And so a strategy was born, not just to reveal the verity, but to navigate the unfaithful waters of treason, fidelity, and love that defined the world of the bold and the beautiful. As the first stars appeared in the night sky over Los Angeles, Poppy and Luna prepared for the storm. Every twinkle was a shower of expectation, every regard a silent acknowledgement of the chaos to come. In the coming hours, secrets would be unveiled, alliances tested, and hearts shattered. The Forrester family, the entire social circle, and indeed the ambitious schemers lurking in the murk would soon feel the seismic tremblers of Luna's disclosure. And nearly, high above the megacity, the skyline lustered, indifferent to the mortal drama unfolding below. But within the walls of Forrester Creations, the verity would no longer be contained. The disclosure of Dylan Luna would enkindle a chain response, leaving no heart untouched, no relationship untested, and no secret unchallenged. The disclosure of Dylan's true identity as Luna continued to resonate through Poppy's mind like a grim shower. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't concentrate on anything except the verity she now carried. A verity that could change the lives of everyone she knew. Every familiar face in Los Angeles suddenly sounded different, shadowed by the counter-accusations of what she had uncovered. Indeed, the thoroughfares of the megacity, formerly assuring in their bustling meter, now felt alien, like they were part of a stage set for a drama she had no control over. Poppy knew she couldn't delay. She demanded a betters, someone she could trust to navigate the unfaithful emotional terrain ahead. Her first call was to Steffi, who had always been a gemstone of reason in the whirlwind of Forrester drama. Steffi answered on the alternate ring, her voice bright but unknowing. "Hey Poppy, everything okay?" Steffi asked. "No Steffi, I need you to come to the Forrester estate. It's critical," Poppy replied, her words cropped, laden with pressure. "Urgent? What's happed?" Steffi's tone shifted, a subtle turnabout of solicitude creeping in. "I can't explain over the phone. Just please come now," Poppy said, cutting the discussion short. She hung up before Steffi could argue and sank into the living room lounge, running a hand through her hair. Every crack of the timepiece felt louder than the last. She could feel the palpitation of fortune pushing her toward battle, toward a reckoning that would leave no bone. Unscathed. Twinkles latterly, Steffi arrived, her brow furrowed in concern as she entered the opulent Forrester living room. "Poppy, you sounded panicked. What's going on?" Poppy handed her the slip of paper, the evidence that Dylan was actually Luna. Steffi's eyes widened as she read, a blend of shock and unbelief painting her features. "Luna Dylan, they're the same person?" Steffi rumored nearly to herself. "Yes," Poppy said, her voice establishment unwavering. "And we can't keep this secret. Not presently. The family needs to know. Everyone needs to know." Steffi paced the room, the weight of the disclosure pressing down like a physical force. "Poppy, do you realize what you're saying? If we tell Brooke and Ridge, oh God, and Hope, and Bill, it's going to explode. People will be hurt." "I know," Poppy admitted, her voice pulsing. "But hiding the verity won't cover anyone. It'll only make the fallout worse." Meanwhile, across city, Luna sat in a quiet cafe, rehearsing what he'd say if the verity came out. Every memory of his history, every careful deception, sounded to claw at him, demanding recognition. He'd no way wanted this. He'd wanted to live still, to cover the people he watched about. But fate, it sounded, had other plans. Back at the Forrester estate, Poppy and Steffi batted strategy, their whispers filled with urgency. "We've to control the narrative," Steffi said. "If Bill hears this before we can manage it, he'll weaponize it. He always does." Poppy jounced. "We'll defy him last. For now we concentrate on Ridge and Brooke. They're the most immediate. They earn to hear the verity from us, before anyone differently can twist it." As the two women colluded, the estate itself sounded to hold its breath. Every portrayal on the wall, every shining face of polished wood reflected a world on the point of bouleversement. And soon the storm would descend. Ridge and Brooke were in the design plant when Steffi and Poppy arrived, their faces blenched with expectation. Brooke looked up, her eyes narrowing. "What's going on? You both look serious." Steffi took a deep breath. "Mama, Dad, there's commodity you need to know about Dylan." Brooke's brow furrowed. "Dylan? What about him?" Poppy stepped forward, placing the slip of paper on the office. "He's not who we allowed. He was. Dylan, he's actually Luna." For a long moment, silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. Ridge's jaw tensed, his hands clinging into fists. "Luna? What are you talking about?" Steffi's voice shook, but she forced herself to continue. "He's been hiding his true identity. Everything we knew about him, it's a taradiddle." Brooke's lips parted in shock, her hand flying to her casket. No, this can't be true." Poppy met her aspect. "It is. I've evidence." And also the phone chimed. Bill's voice, sharp and calculating, came through the line, ignorant of the chaos formerly unfolding. "Brooke? Ridge, I heard there's news about Dylan. Care to partake before I find out some other way?" Steffi moaned. "Poppy, he's going to make this indeed worse." Brooke snappily interdicted the call. "Bill, we're dealing with commodity serious. We'll talk to you soon." But Bill wasn't one to stay. On the other side of city, he was formerly colluding, conniving how he could use this disclosure to his advantage. Every dramatic twist was a tool to him, a chance to manipulate, control, and eventually win. Meanwhile, Luna remained ignorant that the net was closing in. He sat alone in the cafe, lost in study, when Poppy eventually arrived to defy him. "We can't keep this secret presently," she said forcefully. Luna looked up, guilt etched into his features. "I know. I was hoping I didn't know that it could stay hidden a little longer." Poppy shook her head. "It's too late. The verity is out, and we've to face the consequences." The pressure in the air was electric. Every character was now moving toward battle, some with fear, some with wrathfulness, others with strategic computation. And in true Bold and the Beautiful fashion, no secret remained buried for long. Hours turned into a full day of slinging exposures. Hope brazened Luna first, her eyes wide with unbelief. "All this time, Dylan, you were Luna," she said, her voice pulsing with emotion. Luna's head bowed. "I didn't want to hurt anyone. I wanted to cover you all." Hope's hands shook as she turned down, floundering to reuse the treason. "Cover us? By lying?" Every discussion, every disclosure, sparked swells of conflict, gashes, and heartache. Ridge felt his world unraveling as he realized how close he'd come to intentionally trusting someone living a double life. Brooke, ever the dame, tried to keep calm but could slightly mask her outrage and shock. Indeed, Bill, ever opportunistic, tasted the chance to turn this disclosure to his advantage, colluding in the murk as the family brazened the verity. And Sheila, ever the opportunist, watched from the sidelines, a minatory grin spreading across her face. The chaos was perfect, and she knew she could use this to destabilize her rivals while advancing her own docket. By evening, the Forrester estate was a mecca of tense exchanges, emotional competitions, and private strategizing. Luna, for the first time, felt the weight of living openly, facing the consequences of times of secretiveness. And Poppy, loyal and stalwart, realized that the world she knew was gone ever. The disclosure of Dylan as Luna had set off a chain response. A storm of feelings, alliances, backstabbings, and heartache that would echo across the Forrester family and beyond. Every regard, every rumored discussion, every gash exfoliate that night carried the weight of the verity, changing the line of every life it touched. In the end, one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same in Los Angeles. The Bold and the Beautiful had thrown yet another shocking twist into the lives of those who allowed. They knew love, trust, and fidelity. And as the megacity lights lustered through the windows of the Forrester estate, everyone, musketeers and foes likewise, realized that in a world erected on secrets, the verity was the most important force of all. The night strengthened over Los Angeles, casting long murk across the Forrester estate, as every room sounded to joggle with the weight of secrets eventually revealed. Luna sat alone in the study, his fritters nervously tapping against the polished office, while Poppy dallied hard, her eyes surveying the megacity lights through the altitudinous windows. Outdoors, the distant hum of business was a bare tale compared to the storm brewing outside. "Do you suppose they'll ever forgive me?" Luna asked, his voice slightly audible, full of raw vulnerability. Poppy stepped closer, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "It wouldn't be easy, but the verity has a way of coming out ultimately. At least now it's coming from you, not someone differently. That counts for commodity." Meanwhile, in the living room, Brooke and Ridge sat side by side, recycling the disclosure. Brooke's hands quivered as she clasped them together. "I no way imagine Dylan Luna living a double life like this. How could he?" Ridge ran a hand through his hair, his jaw tight with frustration and unbelief. "It's not just about him lying. It's about all the ways this affects everyone. Steffi, Hope, indeed the business. Nothing is untouched now." Steffi entered, her expression a admixture of concern and resoluteness. "We need to figure out how to handle this before it spirals further. Bill is formally circling, and you know Sheila wouldn't let this go to waste." As the family batted, Hope still slipped down, feeling a blend of treason and sympathy. She broke at the window, gaping out at the Los Angeles skyline, the spangling megacity lights mirroring the fermentation in her heart. She rumored to herself, "How do you trust someone again when the person you love isn't exactly who they sounded to be?" And nearly in the murk, Sheila watched, a wicked smile playing at her lips. The disclosure was chaos incarnate, and she intended to make every second of it count. The night held its breath, but morning would bring further competitions, further heartache and further drama. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, secrets no way stay buried, and every verity has a price.